Hi, I'm John from Our Home From Scratch, and in this video I'm going to unbox and set up my new Ryobi Plunge router. So I have found myself in need of a new router. So I went out and picked up this Ryobi. It's a 2 horsepower plunge router, and you have to forgive my voice. I'm getting over something here, so if I sound groggy, it is what it is. So I ended up picking this particular router out because it had a good cost price point. It was about $100. I bought it at my local Home Depot, and this is not a sponsored video. Ryobi has not given me this router, although that would be nice. They have not. So I have a project I'm working on, and I needed to put some grooves and some dado cuts. I'm not currently capable of doing that with ease with my table saw, so I've had been using a router to do that, and it's fairly simple to do. So I had been using this this Bosch router, and for a couple of years this Bosch router, really held up well. It worked really well. Sort of a on the mid to high range router sets, and I think I paid something like north of $250 for it back in like 2012. I wanted to say, back when we were doing our wainscoting project, and it was nice because it had a variable speed. It's a good brand. Bosch has a good reputation. And this particular set came with both a plunge base, okay, so a plunge stand which I can kind of move the router up and down in, and a fixed base. The fixed base is currently on the bottom of the underside of my router table I set up. But over the last year or two, I'm having just a giant nightmare of a time trying to get the router motor, sort of the router primary component, out of the stands. So both the plunge assembly, the plunge unit, and the fixed base were just fighting me constantly, trying to get the motor out. So, I just kind of gave up on it maybe several months ago. I also threw it across the room, so that might not have helped things in frustration. So, it's probably still functional, but I can't get them out of the stands, and so I'm done with it. So I may send this to get fixed or get looked at or whatever, but I just got sick of fighting it. So I still recommend it if you're looking for a better unit, and maybe I should have used some lithium grease or something to kind of get on the outer surface to kind of get it in and out of the bases better, but it is what it is. So I'm in need of a new router, and I was at the store, and so I looked at this Ryobi. Now historically I don't own a lot of Ryobi tools. They tend to be made from a lot more plastic components than, at least from my observations. This is not a qualified statement, and I don't know if this is 100% accurate. Just at least from my observations, they seem to be made from a lot more plastic components than some of the other models, like Porter Cable and Bosch seem to have more metal parts. So that's just my impression. So a couple of Ryobi tools I've purchased over the last couple of years, though. I have some garden tools. I have like a battery-powered leaf blower I use, and I really like it. It's worked out pretty well, so I've got the batteries for that. So I'm just kind of warming up to the brand a little bit. So the one thing Ryobi does a little differently, and I'll start unpacking this in a minute here, is they have separate routers for completely separate router models for their plunge unit and their fixed base unit. So my Bosch has one motor and interchangeable base units. Porter Cable does that. I think if you see rigid models may do that. DeWalt does that, and that's sort of the industry standard, is to have I think Craftsman did the same thing. You have a motor, and then you can pull it, swap it in and out of the bases. It's just a lot easier. Ryobi here, this router is a one complete assembled unit, and I cannot take the motor out and put it in a fixed base. From my understanding, at least, I don't think it lets me do that. A couple reasons I bought this one. Again, the price was about $100. That's not bad. It does have variable speed. So variable speed allows you to obviously change the speed of the rotational speed of the router bit. And what does that get you? For very small diameter bits, you probably want more of a higher end speed, like a high speed for better cuts. And for big wide router bits, like a raised panel cutting bit, you want to slow that down because your tip speed is going to be fast just because the diameter is larger. So it's more mass and all that stuff. So you tend to run them slower. So I had the option of buying a Porter Cable that was similar to the Bosch, but that didn't have a variable speed setup. So this one did. It takes a 1/2 inch collet. I believe it comes with a 1/4 inch collet as well. So I have router bits that both have the 1/2 inch shaft and take a 1/4 inch shaft. So I wanted to be able to use both of them and not be locked into one. So I think this, yeah, 1/2 inch collet and a 1/4 inch adapter. So I can fit everything I already have. Again, we mentioned the variable speed. It's also 2 horsepower at its peak speed, and that's pretty good. I think this one was like this Bosch was like 2.5 horsepower. So once you start getting into heavier, thicker woods, like if you're cutting oak, or and you have those bigger speed, those bigger heads, the router bit heads, having that higher horsepower is very, very helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. We'll unbox it, and then I'm going to show you just how it goes through a couple cuts. I need to make a couple cuts for this last cabinet I'm building for a friend. A couple of easy passes with a 23, 30 seconds or 3/4 inch cutting bit, and we'll see how that goes. All right, so let's unbox it. So I've never done an unboxing video before, and I was at the store with my buddy who helped, who was with me when I bought this, and he's like, dude, you need to do an unboxing video. I was like, all right, whatever. We'll give it a shot. So they've got some stuffing in here, a couple support stuff, and I'll let you see what this looks like. The router's right in there. Okay, I'm just going to take it out. It's just sitting in there. It's got some good weight to it. So I'm going to say it probably weighs a good 10 pounds, maybe 5 to 10 pounds. It's actually heavier duty, just by holding it than I expected it to be. It's got a plunge depth set point, so you got a little locking stick there. Good power cord. And I think if I come over here, let me get this out of the way for a second. So on the back side, it's got a straight edge. So you could run this against a straight edge, any type of sort of flat, square stock you can run this against if you want to. I tend to like to run the rounded side against that. There's a thumb trigger here, and I'm going to, okay, so if I loosen this, okay, kind of loosens left and right, push it all the way in, I can then move this up and down, and if I push down on this, it locks it. Now just for comparison, I'm going to take out this Bosch, just so you get an idea of the difference here already. This is locked until you push down on it, and I kind of like that. So this is different, and different's bad. Now we're just going to have to get used to that. So we're going to see what that's like. I can kind of push it to a point, lock it down, and it's good. I haven't read the instruction manual, so I don't know what the expectation is with this stuff. It comes with a wrench, and this is going to be to remove your router bits. It looks like here's the 1/4 inch collet adapter. It's got a couple large machine screws, and then it has our adapting bar, or sorry, our sort of adjuster bar. So it's got a little red line on it, and this thing's going to go in here, all right? And it'll allow me to sort of set, where this thing goes when I plunge it, so I can kind of hit that stop with it. So it's got a little blast guard here, I guess to keep debris out. The variable speed gauge is right here, and that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do now is take a minute, go through the operator's manual. I'm going to install my 3/4 inch cutting bit, and we will try making a couple passes for this set of built-in cabinets I'm making. Let's see how well she does. All right. Yeah, it's a 120 standard 120 standard outlet. It doesn't have a grounding plug, but so far so good. I like it. So I'm going to be trying to use this here as a plunge router, but I'm using a regular mortising, 3/4 inch mortising bit. And on my first pass here, I noticed that the bit sort of fights me. So I don't know if it's the router or the bit when I try to freehand it. So what I did here for the second pass is I locked it. So I lowered the bit down, locked it into place, and then glided it across the work surface. And I had a much better cutting experience that time. So, again, I'm not really using this plunge router as a plunge router. I'm using it more as a fixed base router. I kind of like that approach though, because having the adjustable router just makes it faster to change depth settings. So even though I can make this cut just as easily with a fixed base, I kind of like it for that plunge effect. So overall, I think the Ryobi Plunge router here is going to be a nice little addition to the shop. I've got some kinks I need to work out with in terms of setting it up within a table. I try to hack something together, and I still need some dust collection features on here and stuff. So I can't really give it a proper sort of router table setup review yet. But as a freehand router, it's fine. It's not quite as, the up and down motion isn't quite as smooth as it was with the Bosch, but I think I can get over that. I probably need to mount this into a proper plate for a table, but overall it's not bad. So for $100, I think I'll get a lot less aggravation out of this unit than I will that Bosch unit. I had issues getting apart all the time. So I just got to figure out the router table later on. So anyway, that's it for this video. We're going to be continuing our next cabinet series, where we're doing some built-ins pretty soon. So look out for the start of that series in the next week or so, and I'll see you soon.